willingness. And this is a time for us to share our ideas and to fortify ourselves for a really long walk ahead of us. And to think of this as a time when we find out, we practice doing what works, and we find out from each other what has been working, and we teach each other. So this is a workshop. I'm not supposed to talk a lot. There are a lot of people here who are involved, and I will just very quickly ask you, the board members, to stand. All the current board members. Chris Puttock, Executive Director, Ken Leonard, Peter Morley is our incoming Vice Chair-elect, co-founder and founding Chair Paul Riemann, Mark Krasinski of Warsaw, where we're going to have a convention in a couple of years. Larry Hands, who's been our trustee treasurer and photographer. Karen Kendrick Hands, our chair-elect, or our chair now our chair.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes. Ken Mugasha, and he is our incoming director from Uganda. Yes. And Kazi Amdadul Hope from Bangladesh, and Mahfuza Musumi from Bangladesh, Dr. Mahfuza, and Jeremy Wright from Australia, who is leaving our board.
And Patricia just realized.
And Patricia Matarasi, from who has been our board member for the past year and a half. So thank you all.
Melissa, I didn't introduce Ken and Christopher.
Ken.
I did. I said Ken Leonard. Yeah. Okay, so next year's theme is making a difference, and we're making a difference kind of square on by opening our arms to the importance of the environment. But in America, at least, there's a little bit of confusion about whether there are even any problems or not. And what we want to do here is we want to talk about what is working. We all know there's an issue, or at least I think a lot of people know there's an issue. And in a way, what we want to do is we want to talk about it in a way that is helpful to everyone, because we're all Rotarians. What we have in common is Rotary International, and Rotary values. And so what I'm going to do, if you look at the agenda, is we have 4 parts. The first part is talking about Rotary. What is Rotary? And how does environmental sustainability fit in a way that matches Rotary's DNA? Because there are a lot of people in the world who don't understand why environmental sustainability is really just a basic umbrella, systematic thought that allows us to address a lot of our 6 areas of focus at once. And so we're going to brainstorm through this. We're going to talk about the resources we've got for tree planting, and then we're going to have some exercises, lots of exercises, so you'll see that. So what we want to do is have ground rules, and so I want you all, I'm sure you all, as Rotarians, this is just, in case there are people here who feel differently, because in the world, everyone feels differently. When we have our virtual reality, we're all looking out from behind our own eyes. And it's so important to keep in mind that the view you have of the world is unique to you. No one else has that view. And so that's what we're really doing here, is we're exercising that to remember that my view is really my view. What does it look like? What's the virtual reality that's coming out, and what's behind them? So this is just something for you to read really quickly while I'm talking and see if you can understand it, because brain research shows that we actually don't look at every single detail, that we make paradigms that happen like that after we've learned them, and it doesn't matter how you mix it up. You already know what it says, and you're going to put it in that other person's mind. And so it's just saying, be careful, your brain doesn't work as well as you think it does. Now here's another one.
Especially after 7 days of convention.
There's a person's face in this picture of coffee beans. There's a human face here. And I wonder if you can see it. It just really is not easy to find that face. And once again, if you are looking for something, it is sometimes very hard to see, even if you know it's there. Okay? I'm sorry you don't get to stay there. Many of you know this. What is this a picture of? Someone tell me.
A young woman with a hat.
Is it a, who sees an old hag? Okay. You see both? And who sees a young woman? Okay. And okay, so some people see both. Who sees both? Who can see neither?
No, I can't see the old hag. I see the young
You see,
woman.
it's so hard. Once you lose it, it's so, there's her nose. Here's the old hag's nose and there's her chin.
Yeah.
Okay?
Show us the eyelash of the young girl.
And then here's the eyelash of the young girl and her little turned up nose.
So there's really no such thing as an old hag.
Yeah, that's a good point. He said no such thing as an old hag. Did anyone find the face?
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone want to know where it is?
Yeah.
It's right there. Oh my. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
Okay, and I want to give credit to Mediators Beyond Borders, because Endo, I can't remember his name, someone from Mediators Beyond Borders shared these slides with me from the Sao Paulo Peace Conference. This is a great one. Now we're going to say it together. Now you have to say out loud the color, not what is printed there. So it's green, red, blue, yellow, blue, black, red, blue, green, black, red, yellow, green, blue, black, blue, red, green. You all are much better at this than I am. You are so good at that. Okay, now here, is this a duck or a rabbit? Both. Who sees a duck? I see a duck. Who sees the rabbit? So the rabbit will go like this. You see? Yes. The bill becomes the ears. Yes. See, so the world is different depending on, people can take the same thing and then see it in different ways. And so we have different constructs and we're taking into account. So this is when you are all looking at the same data points. Now imagine you're not looking at the same data points, okay? And that's actually the situation in people's lives. And the way you get people to look at more data points is you establish a relationship of trust and friendship with them. Because when people feel safe, their hearts open up and their minds open up. They see more things and they're more willing to look because they're not defending themselves and they're not trying to protect themselves. So a lot of the problems we have, I think, in America are because people are afraid and they're scared and they're defending a position. And I think one of the most valuable things we can do it absolutely at the core of Rotary is building friendships, building relationships, and leveraging our connections. But they're connections based on integrity and caring. They're based on the four-way test. They're based on the object of Rotary of service above self. And so we ourselves need to feel very safe. Okay, so I want you all, anytime you start feeling tense or irritated or scared, to understand that we ourselves need to feel safe so that we can start. Because if I'm anxious and I'm trying to get close and make a friendship with you, you're not going to want that in. You're going to be having your shields against that. So there's a lot of, so we need to be self-aware and we need to care about other people. Who was at the Peace Conference? Was anyone here at the Peace Conference? A lot of people here. And you got to see Dr. Bernice King? Who, you all hear Dr. Bernice King? She said that we need to treat one another as if every single person, even those we think of as our enemies, are worthy of redemption. And she used that language because her father is obviously a preacher, was a preacher, but the worthy of redemption is worthy of coming around to seeing the world the way I do. So that's a joke. But if I'm always doing that virtual reality thing, and I'm always trying to get my eyes to be coming out of your head, then if you came to see the world as I saw it, while I was coming to see the world as you saw it, then we would have that virtual reality created in both of our heads so that we're both seeing through each other's eyes. And the key to doing that is allowing other people to feel safe. And I'm sure I've gone way too, haven't gone, okay, I'm past my time. And you haven't had an interactive exercise yet, and Chris is really gonna get on me. Okay. So we're gonna do our first interactive exercise here, which is about the 4 quadrants. And Meryl Glustrom, who is co-presenting with me, he is from District 5450. In 5450, that's out Denver, Boulder, Colorado way. They took very seriously the Environmental Sustainability Challenge about 20 years ago.
It is for our committee, yes.
And they started Preserve Planet Earth. He pointed out to me in his graduate program that he was taught that the world tends to fall into 4 quadrants. There are those who are zealots, avid, rabid environmentalists. Anyone here want to raise their hand and self-identify?
Rabid.
And then there are the common, consistent ones. Anyone here want to self-identify? Okay. And then there's the polite, but they're a little skeptical about the priority. Okay. So they'll listen to you. They're curious, but you know, what's all the rush? What's the big deal? And then there are those who are irritated at the idea. And some people call those the dismissers. They don't want to talk about it, and so I'm like that. So
You're not here.
is anyone here polite? I mean, I'm just curious because you're welcome to be polite but skeptical. You might be coming here to find out. Okay, Karen wants me to go on.
Well, I want you to go on, and I want everyone to put their cell phones on quiet.
Okay, so the idea is really for you all at your tables to talk about, I want you to address the hard problems. I want you all at your table to talk about how your experience with your family members, with your fellow Rotarians in your district, when you need to be talking about environmental sustainability, when you bring it up as something, do you have trouble? Are there things that are bothering you? So just take 2 minutes to talk to yourselves about that.
Okay. We're the home of EsragAtlantaWorkshop061517 and council around changing the bylaws and say that it was okay to do environmental projects.
You have to kind of be careful about how you frame things, and I even know different senior leaders who have a passion for the environment tread cautiously in this area because they've already received, backlash saying that we're pushing a certain agenda or whatever the case may be. But so you do have to be sensitive to those notions when dealing with the worldwide group that we have, the Rotary.
Thank you. And can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are there triggers? Are there trigger words, or are there or that we want to avoid? And are there has there been a best practice found?
So, through Rotary, we usually unite through the common desire to help others, and I think when you frame it in terms of sustainable solutions to community needs, we're good.
Yeah.
We're safe.
Yes.
So I think just coming at it from that perspective in the grassroots community level, I think that, and tying things to there as a focus, of course.
Right. Right.
That is a way that works well for the Rotary audience.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you.
Do you want us to say something?
Pardon?
Do you want us to say something? Do you want another table?
Oh, sure. Please.
Okay, I'm Chris Pollard, you probably know. But at our table, we decided that we've actually been doing a lot of environmental projects, but we haven't been calling them that. We've been doing, well, I didn't mention this to my group, but when my first recollection of Rotary was a Rotary Park. And that was 60 years ago, 50 years ago.
60.
Yeah.
He was a wee lad.
I was a wee lad. No, we're doing stream cleanups. We're doing we're doing plantings. But we're not called environmental. And one of the first things I did in my district is say, let's put on a map of our district the projects that we're currently doing that are environmental. Just so that people can actually start thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, 1 second, please. What I want to say is we're going to put these two ideas together right now, okay? Just as when we have two eyes or when we're doing a virtual reality, we're coming at something from two directions. And what Chris said is that we're already doing projects and we're not calling them environmental sustainability. And what Lauren said is that is what works. And so when you put those two together, you get trees. They spell trees, okay? And so what I have seen at this convention is that by President Ian's highlighting trees as a project, these projects are coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. Woodwork, get it? So what we want to do through the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group is we want to shine a light on these projects. We want everyone to know not only July 1st through April 22nd, which we will, I'm going to propose to the board that we figure out a way and solicit funding to put together a counter that shows how many trees and a mechanism that goes back to the district and club level so that there will be a counter of the trees planted that is live all year long, right? So people can log on to the ESRAG website and see 1.2 million trees the same way Bill Gates watched the money come in for polio, right? Because that's exciting and that helps Rotarians shift what they're looking at, okay? And so what we want to really do is empower all of you all as ambassadors to go back with that zeal and that calm consistency and think gentleness and kindness and love and Rotary values, because that's what we all have in common. And so that's what this little exercise is about. So I'm going to turn it back to your table. Or first I'm going to...
From the table?
Yes, I wanted to ask you all if you can talk about what are the Rotary values and how are those shown in action, okay? Just because that's where that's the conversation you're gonna have at your club level. About environmental sustainability is Rotary values. So what are the Rotary values? Do you want to call up?
The four-way test.
Service.
That's for all.
Right.
Respect.
The four-way test.
Right, and so this is where I'm supposed to be writing up here. Okay?
I'll scribe.
Okay. She's
I'm not neater than you, but I'm only
okay.
Walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
Okay, hold on. Service.
Service above self. Or four-way test.
True.
Truth.
I
True,
think the
right.
main objects of Rotary are the other big statement of Rotarian goals. I gotta remember them all, but it's the use of vocation as an avenue of service.
Right, the use of vocation as an avenue of service. That's a very beautiful Rotary value. Yes. So that's the value of work.
There are others, we gotta look at.
Yeah, there's others.
There's youth.
Youth, taking care of the youth.
Oh, I don't get to talk, I'm writing, sorry.
You get to
Partnerships.
partnerships, right? Relationships, connections, networks.
I can't write that fast.
Okay. Vicente, did you have something? Paredes?
Me?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was your friend with the hat. It looked like he had something. I'm sorry.
I don't think she's understanding
Yeah,
English.
maybe not.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
left from Morales.
Okay.
Microphone,
Microphone. For who?
can't hear everybody.
Close the queue now.
Okay, you can leave those values out. Okay, because
Well,
what we
there are
want,
so
were there
many in
more?
the world
Were there
that we
more?
can get together to change it.
What's
There are
that?
so many Rotarians in the world that we can get together to make changes.
Right, so it's that global connection.
Yeah.
It's we might have 250 flags in the world, but we have one Rotary flag that unites all of us.
How
We're
about I put change the world at the top?
making a difference.
Do we have
Rotary making a difference.
Service through fellowship.
Pardon?
Service through fellowship.
Service through fellowship and friendship. Okay, so so I think we need to move on to the next thing. That's all very good.
It's like a vortex in the ocean. All the surface currents of the ocean, they move and converge to a point. And when they do that, they collect all the plastic trash floating in the ocean. And it goes to the gyres. There's 5 major gyres in the world. And those gyres are all contaminated with the ocean. They're like a plastic soup in the ocean. And those, the concentration of the plastics to plankton is like 36 pieces of plastics to 1 of plankton.
Oh my gosh.
And the scientists are saying the concentration is not increasing because the currents are like just not treading, how you say, shredding the plastic, and the plastic's becoming microplastic, going deep into the ocean and becoming like a plastic smog. So very difficult to pick up, to collect. And plastic, it absorbs all the toxins and leaches the toxins. 1 piece of plastic is 1 million times more contaminated than the water. The fish are eating that. Phytoplankton is eating, not phytoplankton, but zooplankton is eating plastic. Plastic is becoming another part of the food chain. So that has become, is basically in international waters a waste management problem, and it's also a hazardous problem. It's affecting one of the ecosystems.
Is going to talk about a project that they are doing in the Boulder Preserve Planet Earth and Club, right?
Yes.
That once again doesn't use the word environment. Well, maybe it does, as long as you.
Yes, this is an interesting project. It started in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and there was a fellow there named Bill Morris, and he worked in the high-tech industry in sales. And the 2008 recession, the Great Recession in the United States, he was laid off. And so he got a job with government to train people, kind of ironically since he was laid off, to find work. He found himself in this large warehouse where people were doing make work. And no one was happy here in this warehouse, and he was unhappy. But in the back of the warehouse, in its own room, were a group of 4 people, and they were taking apart computers. They would take them apart, put them back together again. Take them apart, put them back together again. Over and over. And he noticed that these 4 guys were really happy. They were totally engaged in their work. And he couldn't figure it out. No one else is happy in this building but them. So he asked the supervisor of the operation, what's going on back there? And the supervisor said, these 4 guys have autism. And they love taking apart computers. And so Bill Morris, whose brother is developmentally disabled, was tuned in to this concept. And he got this brainstorm that humans sometimes get. And he said, I could hire people with autism to take apart computers for recycling. And he worked to get that started in Colorado Springs. There was a Rotarian that funded it, by coincidence. And he got started in a warehouse, he called it Blue Star Recyclers. And incredibly, the people that were taking apart the computers would work for 4 hours straight without a break. And if they took a break, they often were unhappy. They didn't know what to do with themselves. But if they were working, they were just in a flow. So the error rate, the important thing about Blue Star Recyclers to understand is this is not a charity. He outcompetes any other recycling operation. The people with autism have 90% unemployment. They sit around playing computer games in their parents' homes after they graduate from high school with special ed diplomas and are unhappy, like most of us would be if we sat around all day. They're no different than us. Give them gainful employment and they have meaningful lives. They have people around them that support them.
What a great business.
Great business. They have almost a 0% error rate. The competition, the error rate is 45%. 100% retention. 0 injury rate. So Bill knew he was onto something. He expanded it to Denver. A Rotary Club helped him with that. And then I heard him speak at our Preserve Planet Earth committee. I said, we've got to bring him to Boulder. So I've been working for the last 2 years. Last November, we successfully brought him to Boulder and set him up in our recycling facility. So what does this say to other Rotary clubs? Essentially, if you think about it, wherever there's the need for recycling, wherever there's people on the autism spectrum, and wherever there's a Rotary club, you can set one of these projects up. Anywhere. And if you think about that, those 3 criteria are met almost everywhere in the world. So, if you're interested in this project, I can help you get started.
Okay. Thank you. So I love the way he put together environment, Rotaries, and mental health.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Human happiness.
Social good, economic good, and environmental good.
Right.
I gotta say something.
Yes,
human
please.
We're talking about 2 perspectives. The
Yeah.
first thing I thought of is, why are those 4 guys happy? They were stealing the bank account numbers and credit card numbers off the hard drive, and they could get a new business. But I think it was just terrific.
Yeah.
You see, and what do you think? Yeah, it's very revealing. Very revealing. Thank you for sharing that. That's right. Why were they so happy? My thought was, I'm autistic. So, not because I spend 4 hours taking apart computers. The next thing that we have, is Chad here? Chad! I would like to recognize Chad. I met Chad in Seoul. Chad Hagen and his father, Bob Hagen, are the sponsors and making this whole thing possible. Thank you so much. So our next activity, we're kind of at break time, but we're going to go right into break time. Are you all willing for that?
Skip it.
Okay, so do the skits. We're going to do the skits, and then we'll go into and share that, and then we'll go have a little break.
Short.
Right. And I forgot to tell you, if you need them, the bathrooms are to the left. When you walk out in the hallway, there's bathrooms down there. So anyone feel free whenever they need to. The next is a short exercise that you all will do at your tables. And I'll move to the next slide here, I think. We didn't do this, did we? Meryl was going to do this too. We can do this later.
Okay.
We'll do this. Should we do this or this?
No,
Whatever you want.
it's already done.
Okay, we have a choice, and you can do this together. They can be together. The skit is at your table. You need to set up. You get 2 minutes to figure out a skit that exemplifies Rotarians coming at an issue from different viewpoints and figuring out how they are going to reconcile that in a way that is the Rotary way. Does that make sense? And you can use these kinds of questions of what your environmental sustainability experience has been to talk about that. And I think we should have more than 2 minutes to make this skip because you haven't had this exercise. I think this exercise actually probably would be good first.
It might be first.
Yeah, so why don't you all go at your tables, share personal stories, and I think that you wanted to do this so that it was like
Give her
5 minutes per, no, 2 minutes per
So we
person.
have 9,
Here, you do
if
it.
it goes according to schedule.
He can be the
And
judge.
We're just trying to predict the schedule, so to let us know. But we have about 9-10 minutes to answer 3 questions, each person at the table. Divide the tables up, because we envision this with 3 or 4 people max, so people can talk and feel comfortable. So you want to answer 3 questions, take about, each person will have about a minute, and then we'll move on. We want to do it the Rotary way. Look at this list of what you're going to respond, how you're going to respond, okay? That means we're going to focus on listening, not offering alternative opinions, okay? So if someone relates their experience, you're listening to that experience, okay? And then the second and third question is your conception of what environmental sustainability is, examples of what it is, and examples of what it is not. And so the whole thing for your group of 3 should take about 10 minutes. So each person,
Can you step
about
away from
3
the
minutes.
questions?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Any
All right.
questions on the ground rules?
So split the tables in half, one side, the other side.
That would be great.
Okay.
that would
And
be
then
great.
answer these 3 questions.
One person at a time, the other 2 people active listening.
Each person answers all 3 questions?
Yes, each person answer all
And then
3
what are we gonna
questions.
Just to each other, or are we reporting out?
No, to
No, to each other, to your group, to your small group.
And then what's,
One person answering the question, 2 or 3 people active listening. Okay? Then the next person would go
okay, so that's what
active
we're doing
listening.
now.
Any questions? Okay.
And with which side of the table do you want?
What's her name, Sharon?
You have your 3 way up, Mark?
Environmentalist or concerned about the environment, and then what is environmental sustainability? An example. I taught writing, and you always try to be specific in your writing. So a specific example with details of what environmental sustainability is and what it is not. So volunteers? We got one right here.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of what not to do, is this conference right here. Because we all flew here, used 3 tons of carbon to get here. How many people paid the green tax so that they could have environmental sustainability someplace else on the airplane?
Wow.
You can do it, it's about $40, yeah. And we're using single-use cups. Our club became a car-free club. And we're not using recyclable cups. Lamps is probably the biggest garbage thing. So I'm here to encourage the board to find things we can do, to find virtual conferences, to really include people without using carbon. I mean, we're here planting trees and that looks really good, but is that really doing something other than starting where you are? That's where our club's doing, and it creates a lot of the same problems that you guys are talking about. But when you ask somebody to leave their car at home, and if not, then you have to pay 100 pesos to drive your car to the meeting, that really brings environmental sustainability home.
Good point. Next. Yeah. Go for it.
A personal note in answer to item 1. 17 years ago, my mother died. She choked to death, and I watched it for about 5 days. She was on medication. She was very frail. There was a bushfire about 2 kilometers away in Sydney, and she died from the pollution from the fossil fuels that were being generated in a bad way, and she died. And I realized then that having clean air to breathe is the basic essence for life. And I would think about how we can save this clean air on our planet, because basically if we can't breathe, we live for about 2 minutes, and that's about all. She lasted for 5 days, other people might last for 2 or 3 months. So to me it's a very important issue. We must have the clean elements, and I think that's for me the definition of sustainability. We spoke about it at the table. Sustainability is sustaining life on this planet. whether it's human life or animal life or plant life. We have to maintain a balance. If we run out of clean air and clean water, that's all going to go. What it's not is the issue that was raised here, and one of the members at our table said, it's not the fog of nice catch cries that we use in Rotary. Let's feel good, let's have a meeting, let's do all these things that's on the list, and we feel that that's really missing the point. We're on a sinking ship, we're on the Titanic, and we're saying, well, how can we integrate? How can we feel better about ourselves? We're going to sink in 100 years. We're going to sink by lack of air and lack of clean water. Life is going to start dying off. So sustainability, to me, is sustaining life on this planet through clean elements in an environment.
Specific example.
Well,
Franz's story about the economics.
Yeah, if you have to use the economic angle to convince people that sustainability is effective, because, well, maybe that's going off a bit, but we're talking about having more fuel-efficient cars. That's not going to solve the problem, because if the efficiency increases by 20%, and we have 30% more people on the planet in the next 10 years, there'll be more cars and we'll be still going backwards. We are still going backwards, we're not going forwards. So the pollution is increasing, the air is running out, there are more people.
The projects were approved faster and not litigated. And those three things are, of course, I was a planning director, so I need to look at the physical regulations, the state, local government. And then I needed to think about the community. Is this project compatible with the community? Like somebody bringing in a 10-story project on a bungalow community, that is not going to be compatible. And the third part was the feasibility, the cost. The owners didn't want to pay too much money. The developers didn't want to spend money with our requirements. But so I noticed that if I balance those three parts, the social, economic, and environmental part, physical, social, and economic, the project was always approved. The Planning Commission told me, Patricia, you don't need us. You're balancing the aspects of the project over time, because I needed to consider the cumulative aspects. So basically, I put together this template, it's a sustainability template. And I've been helping my clients, now I work on the private sector, and I've been helping my clients so that every time they have a problem, they say, well, where are we gonna go from here? We try to evaluate things three ways. Evaluate all the impacts of the project on the environment, all the impacts of the project on people, and the feasibility of the project. It has to be feasible, right? So I think that is a good model to use and to facilitate things and to see the good parts of things, if that's any good.
Excellent. From Uganda might want to talk. Africa is a future to a large extent, so it might be good to get that perspective.
He's from Kenya.
Kenya will do. I've got a personal connection with Uganda, sorry.
That is great. Uganda, they are brothers. We don't differentiate Kenya and Uganda. The boundary is artificial. My name is Babu and I come from Kenya. Basically, my personal story is that from a lecturer's perspective, professor's perspective, I teach wildlife and the environment because I'm a veterinarian. And I saw the connection between human survival and the environment.
Yes.
So it's in me. Now I feel it, I see it, that the environment basically is the basic. It's what sustains life. So if we mess up the environment, we are actually messing up ourselves. There is no other way. So sustainability to me is I call it creation in harmony. Everything from, like my friend here, the air we breathe, the water we drink, whatever we use, even the construction of this building, it's all environmental resources. So human beings are nothing without the environment. So that's my story, really. So sustainability to me is creation in harmony, or what we call a healthy environment that sustains all life forms.
And a specific example from Kenya,
From
modeling
Kenya.
that idea.
Basically, I call it extinction. They're like the rhinos are born.
a project that you've done that way?
No, a project that I've done is basically tree planting conservation area, a degraded place, which was completely overgrazed, and we have done restoration of the place.
Great.
Yeah, we have done restoration. It's a totally different place now. There were no birds, butterflies, insects, but now they are just booming there.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So one more.
One more.
And we save the best for last.
We can always hope.
Yes, right. There's always hope. That should be up there too.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charles Starnes. I'm an economist. And now that everybody has fallen asleep, economics is all about establishing efficiency. And one of the challenges I see about environmental sustainability is that the ownership of whatever issue it is not clearly established. An example, if we establish the property rights, then you'll take care of your property. I take care of my cars, my home, my family, they're mine. My grandfather immigrated from Russia in 1908 with the bad guys on his tail. He went to North Dakota, bought a ranch. That ranch has been in the family for over 100 years now, and it is as pristine today as it was 100 years ago, with native prairies, beautiful clear streams, beavers, elk, mountain lion, everything on that ranch, all living in harmony, because it's private property and they take care of it. We go just a few miles away to Yellowstone National Park. I visited that with my family in the early 60s. It was crowded. It was not well taken care of. Why? There was no admission fee. It was free. It was a common resource, something available to all without charge. Then in 1968, a little fellow by the name of Garrett Hardin wrote an article published in Science magazine called The Tragedy of the Commons, and everyone should read that article, The Tragedy of the Commons, because that is central to what I think Rotary can approach, because Tragedy of the Commons is all about establishing property rights. Now, we visited Yellowstone just a few years ago, took my daughter, grandkids, all of that through Yellowstone. There's a hefty admission fee. Property rights are established. I rent the right to that property by paying the admission fee. It was not crowded. We could drive around freely through Yellowstone.
Focus on is we're trying to center ourselves in what Rotary means, because all Rotarians have these values in common. And these are things that we identify with, that our fellow Rotarians, we can call on them and remind them of. And so the way I want to kind of wrap up this section, where we were sharing our environmental sustainability experiences, our personal experiences, and trying to listen to one another, is where we are going with Rotary is we are going to do it. We're going to make the world a better place. We're going to make a difference. We're going to meet the challenges. And we are going to meet the challenges because we are going to do it with each person. Because it's not about me fixing things. It's about we working together to address what our problems are as they come up. Because no one meant to trash the world. Every single thing that has happened that's bad was the result of people trying to do something good. Okay? So we just need to sometimes slow down and listen to each other and come up with a solution that meets more than one criteria at a time. When we try and do one thing at a time, there are unintended consequences. And so when we come together as a diverse group of people, which is one of Rotary's strengths, especially vocational diversity, racial diversity, national diversity, gender diversity, all of these, age diversity we need a little more of. When we bring all of these things together, we have virtual reality. because we're not working with just one mind trying to fix everything. We are listening to one another, and we're building a solution that takes the best and the experience of everyone. So that's really what we're trying to do. Okay, Karen.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, Karen is going to lead us through
Great. I check that off.
Are you done with that? This is what we're doing now. We're going to be looking at what our tree planting resources are.
And so maybe give background to it. Maybe everyone knows about tree planting.
Karen do that, and
here's your mic.
Karen's gonna pop up and tell me the moment I talk too long. What?
Okay.
No, not the time.
Chris will have this look. Okay, should I move on?
So welcome from the break, back from the break, yes. To the next page. So when President Ian Risley, can't hear. Mike's not on. Now? Now?
Yes.
Okay,
Just be
thank you.
right by your mouth.
Okay. I think the high point of the convention for me personally was listening to President Ian say to the whole room that environmental sustainability is and must be everyone's concern. And that it's totally consistent with Rotary values to care about our planet because that's where all of our projects occur. And that if we don't get this right, it doesn't matter. And while he wants us to help ensure 1.2 million trees are planted, that was a number based on one for every Rotarian. And he also went on immediately to say that it's not about each symbolic tree, it's about the environmental sustainability commitment that goes with it. And so Ken here in Uganda has got his game plan to plant 6 million trees already. And to put us in context, I'm so sorry.
Yes, thank you for the correction.
To grow 1.2 million trees, which means we get them in the ground, but we use it as the teachable moment and figure out how many other notions of environmental sustainability we can hang on each tree.
It means watering the tree to me.
It means watering the tree, but it means planting the tree on the west side of the school so that it shades the school and cools the students in the afternoon so that their reading performance grows up. It means having a tree that grows fruit where people are hungry. It means planting trees like mangroves to fight coastal erosion. It means picking the right trees to mitigate the desertification, perhaps the moringa tree. It means planting the best tree for erosion. And it means, I was so excited I came up with this, planting the right tree in the right place at the right time. And I said, wow! And then I looked up the word agroforestry, and that's the definition that the U.S. Department of Agriculture gives agroforestry, is planting the right tree in the right place at the right time. So we don't have to meet the deadline, but that's what he said in making a difference. Are we advancing the slides? I don't know what slide comes next. Okay, cool, thank you. These are school kids participating in a
Sustainable Global Gardens.
Sustainable Global Gardens. And it's a great project. The Sustainability Trust that was Peter Morley's baby and Peter Sefton and many others, they had this notion of taking care of the environment by raising carbon offsets and taking the money and planting trees.
And this is at Mount Kilimanjaro in Kenya and Tanzania.
Right, Mount Kilimanjaro. And then I will confess that I went on the website and I read the names of the trees they were planting, and I looked them up, and I said, some trees from Australia brought in that have toxic fruit. I don't know enough about this, but I'm not sure. And so one of our challenges, as Doug would say, is when we do it, we've got to do it right. And I don't know what right is all the time. I just don't want to lead us all to do something. So here's your matrix, and as you plan your projects, I want you to think about this. I don't have enough hands. Remember back to the environmental sustainability banners that were hanging in our booth? The text that ties environmental sustainability to each area of focus is in the brochure. That's what you think about when you look at each area of focus that there are. How many areas of focus can you improve when you plant trees? How many of the 6 can you hit? Folks say environmental sustainability. Well, you want to be the 7th area of focus. And actually, I don't. I want to be, what was the thought you said about environmental sustainability, Joy?
Lifestyle?
It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be, it has to be the lens through which you look at each of the areas of focus, not its own freestanding silo. Rotary has enough silos. I paid her to clap.
She's the chorus.
She's the choir. Across the top of your matrix, what type of project could it be? I mean, certainly every Rotarian could say, well, I'll plant a tree for my granddaughter or grandson in my backyard and I'm done. Thank you very much. And we could get 1.2 million trees planted that way. But that's not the point. The point is to use it as the entry point to environmental sustainability. So you want to engage your club or your district. Several people came up and said, we got a lot of trees where I live. I want to plant trees in a place that they're needed. And I said, well, we can help you develop projects and co-sponsor with people in Bangladesh or Kenya or Uganda or Ghana. There's lots of places around the world. Chris Sabas isn't here. He's a brand new Rotarian in the Nashville, Tennessee club. Their sister city is, and I can't even say the name right, so I won't try. It sounds a little like Taiwan, but it's not. In the heart of China's most debilitated coal mining district. And Nashville's sister city is there, and he's going to leverage the folks in Nashville's sister city program to plant lots and lots of trees in that district in China that wants those trees. So that's a stretch yourself global partner approach. And so that's the range that I want you to think about. And the tools to do that are on our webpage that Melissa has built and renovated, and Ken is going to give you a tour of.
Right, and I got it.
Was that you weren't surprised?
The Guardian. And so there it is, trees, right there.
Cool.
So do you want to say how you want to pull this? How do you want to do it?
Okay. I don't need this thing. I have a big mouth. Okay. We developed this brochure before the convention to introduce people to Ian Risley's 1.2 million tree challenge. And obviously, the really most important part of this challenge is the quote down at the bottom that says the greater result will be Rotary that recognizes our responsibility not only to the people on our planet, but the planet itself. So that's really the 1.2 million tree challenge is to get people engaged with the environment. So I would just encourage you all to include your community in any tree planting projects that you do. But anyway, this brochure we turned into our website. So you can see there's a button down there that says trees. So I'm not going to walk through this because you can do that. You can go and you can look at the resources on there because there's 2 other people in this room that have a lot of two great projects that they're working on. So we'll use that time to let them talk about what they're working on. But then, so you can go to the Engage the Challenge, and you can see see that why planting trees, there's obviously many reasons for planting trees, but to my mind, besides the obvious economic, environmental, and spiritual reason for planting trees, is Risley's quote, to engage us with the environment. And so then you can go to the resources that are on this page just to help you, inspire you to get some things. But as Chris noted when we were thinking about this, about resources, if you want to plant trees in Thailand, just go to Thailand tree planting on a search engine and you'll find hundreds of opportunities. If you want to plant trees in Bentonville, Arkansas, all I need to do is go to Bentonville, Arkansas tree planting and I'll find up many resources on how to plant trees in that area. So, but what we really want you to do is as you develop your projects, send them to us. So we can put them up on this website and we can get a list of tree planting projects up there that might inspire others or might want to talk to you about how you're doing your project and so that they can put their project together. So anyway, I'm going to stop with that because you all know how to use the internet and you all know how to use websites and you can go to EsragAtlantaWorkshop and you can look at the tree page and you can go through it. So first, there's 2 board members here that are working on tree projects. So we'll just start with Kazi, and he can briefly introduce his. Then we'll go to Ken from Uganda. Kazi's from Bangladesh, Ken is from Uganda. And they'll let you know about their projects.
I quickly actually go through the Bangladesh situation and very briefly, and then I will share the stories behind the whole projects. And I will not go through by line. Actually, the presentation we will find in the Esrag site. I hope the story will take you to our projects virtually, and I will here all the day. You can ask me for detailed questions.
I'm sorry, too many things I'm thinking about. What was it called? Because I put it on here, right? Yep. So where did I put it?
So talk without your slides and she'll catch up with you.
Fine, no problem. Actually, in our country, I can tell you, in 1960, there are 24% of the country was forest, and now it is around 10%.
What was it?
24% in 1960. 24, and now it is 10%. So you understand, and I can share you in my childhood time. I noticed my grandfather in village, he used to plant a tree for his grandson or granddaughter, for their better future, for their home, for their this, that. And I learned from so many families, that is, they used to plant a tree for the wedding ceremony of our daughter, for the better higher education for our child. These, I personally in my boyhood time observed those things, witness of those things, and these days gone. Very unfortunately, sadly, I'm shocked this morning because I just learned from my country 127 people died because of landslide. Wow. And why is happening? The density topping the list in the country. And in the hilly area, people unplanned way cut the hill and they deforest the hill. They somehow manage their shelter, and the consequence is this. So now, the whole idea of the project and the concept, how we can make the things both way beneficial, how we can make win-win situation. Then we thought there should be, in my early days, in my early time, the ways we noticed people used to consider forest as the source of food, source of earning, source of everything, and that need to bring back. So there is, let me share you 2-3 concepts of the project, what we are implementing. One is, it's called roadside tree planting, and the people who live around the area, someone taking the responsibility of, for example, 100 trees. So 3 share. The road is government road. So when the tree will grow for 10 years, then government, the tree will, it's here. So I will quickly go to slides, then I will not explain detail. Please. This is all about, I had a plan I will share with you all those things. These are the things from my born to death. Tree is everything. My food, my clothes, my shelter, my home, everything from tree, and my oxygen. That I wanted to share here. But I don't know. From my home, for my family, for me, at least I realized 10, 20 or 30 trees has been cut from the forest. I don't remember one tree I gave back. Next slide. This is a 30% forest disappear every year. It's the half size of England.
Wow.
Next. 30 million hectare forest actually disappear. Actually was in 2000 and 2000 to 2010. Then in my country, see 24% was 1960 and now it's 10% 2016. You see the crops field, paddy field, you see some little homes there, so quite understood reason behind. Next.
Now, is that illegal, generally?
Completely illegal.
Okay.
But no choice.
Yeah.
So, at a glance, I wanted to show you 1990 and 2015 hill forest, shal forest, bamboo forest, mangrove forest disappeared. Very sad. Go next. I hope, I wish the whole day to say all those things. I have only 5-10 minutes time. The reason behind the poverty is not very planned way. No other reason. Poverty, profit making, forest management, natural disasters, salinity, all long list. And which I didn't mention here, there is a robbery, killing also taking place due to deforestation. People have limited resources, so they want to own the whole resources. Next. So what? Nothing to be frustrated. Hope is our only option. Only option, we should rebuild our future. The reforestation, afforestation, and forest preservation. I completely agree with the Karen and Andrews this speech yesterday. 1-2 million tree is symbolic. Is the way we should start our journey again and again.
Kazi, what's afforestation?
Afforestation, where there was a forest, now it's deforest. So we'll start. Afforestation is meaning, this is deforestation. Afforestation, where is no forest, but there is chances you can grow forest. For example, ocean side, seaside, benefits I don't need to explain this morning, so many things shared. Next. Yes. So now let me share the whole project. One concept, the mangrove forest. Why these are disappearing? Because if mangrove forests continue, the salinity is continuing in the community areas, people not really able to grow their crops. So in a planned way, I surprised in some places local government supported to stop saline water so that they can grow their own crops. So now we exploring opportunity how mangrove can bring benefits for the community. There are some mangrove trees, their leaves are very much expensive, they can sell it. So if we can grow those mangrove, so people will find this their source of earning and they will take care of those mangrove. And they'll start, taking care, nursing and growing more and more. Other things, actually the river side, river bank, erosion is a major threat for flooding and everything. So what we are doing, we help people understood, you see, this tree is protection, not only protection of the river bank, it's protection of your home, protection of your community, your village. So in the river bank, we help people to grow different kinds of vegetables and trees. And the social forestry, the things I mentioned, that is the share. The one tree, what I mentioned in the very beginning, after 10 years when the tree will be sold, then 30% for the NGO who work for this, for the management maintenance, 30% for the government, because land belongs to government, and 40% for the guy who took care of the trees. So he or she taking care of tree very well, because then the price will be high. So these all, and finally I should say the biodiversity last couple of days, I think the ecosystem, if you see the National Geography, the how they balance with themselves, no discrimination, no stigma among themselves. The lion and tiger, cat and dog live together. What a respectful dignity, what a care to each other. If we can learn from the forest the dignity things that can bring our that can make our life better. So thank you so much. Please don't hesitate to ask me questions. I'll stop here now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kazi. And this is Ken Mugisha, our new director from Uganda.
Thank you, Melissa. I'd like to thank Melissa and the team because you've started pronouncing my name very well. Mugisha. I'm called Ken Mugisha from District 9211, and I'm the district governor-elect for the next 10 days. And I'll become the governor come July 1st. And our Rotary International President-elect is coming from Uganda. And I think you all saw him, and I'll give you the reason why I had to tell you that about Sam. When I was nominated in Uganda, at a conference in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, I was asked by one of our past district governors that, Ken, what are you going to do during your year of service? Because in Rotary, as governors, we serve for 1 year. And immediately I told him, I'm going to do something about the environment. Because it was my concern, and I'll give you a story on when, as a young boy, near my school, we used to have almost 10 acres of land where we didn't know the owner, but he had planted fruit trees on all the 10 acres of land. It was a fenced piece of land, but as young students, we had broken a hole and we could all converge from around 8 schools.
Oh my.
All students could come and converge on that farm to eat fruits on their way home. But here we are, after the industrialization we are going through, we don't have such in Uganda anymore. So many things happened. We knew each other as young people. We connected and we became friends until today because of those 10 acres of land which brought us together to go and have fruits for nutrition. And I have some friends who became even married because of that interaction. I'll give you a brief about Uganda and our district. Over 78% of our population are the youth, aged between 30 years and below. Most of them going to school. But why did I decide about the environment? And what steps have I taken to make sure that we make a difference? Not only in our district, but to share the best practices for my country, my district. Immediately, I set up a team with a chair, and myself as a patron for Rotary Mission Green. We started our partnerships with the government, and I met the President of the Republic of Uganda and shared with him my vision as governor about the environment. And he immediately bought my idea of planting a minimum of 2.5 to 4 million trees every year for the next 5 years as we do.
He spoke up. He talked to his leaders.
And how fortunate we were. he directed the Ministry of Environment to provide 1 million trees every year for the next 5 years. We started discussions with the Ministry of Education, the prisons, because they consume over 90% through use of firewood and charcoal.
Yeah.
The prisons in Uganda are 252, and they sit on hectares and hectares of land, but barren land without trees being planted. We've come up with a structure with Uganda National Roads Authority, and we're going to plant 800,000 trees to cover the entire road network of Uganda. Our prisons are going to plant over. We are going to work with them in partnership with the prisons because they have the resources, through the prisoners themselves, but even the staff. They are going to plant on all their boundaries, and the day I came, I was coming from one of the districts in Uganda where I met the head of the prisons, and they are going to give us 500 acres of land in that area where I went to plant trees.
That's fun. To grow? Yeah.
To grow trees. To grow trees. That is very important. You remember when I was presenting at the first day, I said we're not planting trees, but we are growing trees. And in schools, we've set up structures. One, we are going to have a national quiz and essay competition for all schools in Uganda to promote tree planting in schools, and we are going to award them.
Because you're making
And
future environmentalists
yes,
that way.
and you know what we are going to call them? We are going to promote what we call tree stars in schools.
Yeah.
Tree stars.
Tree stirs.
You plant a tree, you grow it, and the school will be sending us reports about how many students have seen their trees grow, and we are going to give them special pins to recognize them.
Great.
And with that, we feel, because we have over 10 million students in Uganda in primary schools.
Yeah.
So you can imagine,
Yeah.
we are going to plant 10 million trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had meetings with the minister, and he blessed the entire ministry. Every week, we meet at the Ministry of Education boardroom to discuss with all heads of departments in the ministry to see how best we are going to achieve this, and indeed we are going to achieve it. Because we are going to have a launch with the Ministry of Education and those schools in Uganda in September, which is going to be the next tree planting season. So, my friends, because of time, one thing I would like to share with you is that we have to develop partnerships. And why I mentioned about Sam is that he has accepted as the Rotary International President, who is going to continue with what he has started of having a citation of the environment as part of his key areas of focus. So Rotary, we are moving in the right path.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you be willing just to speak a word about the Sustainable Global?
I will, yeah.
Yes, and we also, is Felix here still? Felix Solon is a volunteer with the Trees That Feed Foundation. So the Trees That Feed Foundation, and he has a handout that describes the projects that they have, and Peter will speak briefly on his the Sustainable Global Gardens, which has been run through Rotary International, Great Britain and Ireland for many years. And we all of you want to clarify that?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The Global Sustainable Gardens is run by a guy called Paul Keeling. I wouldn't advise you ever get him in the room with you because you'll never get rid of him. He can talk the hind leg off a donkey. But
That's not sustainable for the donkey.
he has come up with some fantastic ideas. I'm sure most of you have all of you have heard of Mount Kilimanjaro. You may also know that the glaciers on the top of the mountain are also melting. Those in the climate change business say, oh, well, that's all down to global warming and climate change, but it's not. What's happened is that the farmers at the bottom of the mountain, around the bottom of the mountain, on the west side, have cut the trees down to plough the fields and grow crops. Unfortunately, the land is so terrible that you can't grow crops on it, and they've just left it as scrub. So when the winds are blowing from the west, and you know they do all over the world, then the hot winds come across the flatlands, pick up heat, and go straight up the side of the mountain and melt the glaciers. So Paul has decided that the thing to do is to reforest the bottom of the area around Kilimanjaro, and that's what he's doing. And he's using schools and churches and other organisations and communities to plant the trees. And he's a fairly small organisation, but he wants to expand and he needs money to do it. So if you'd like to partner with him, he would be delighted to take your money off you and send you lots and lots of reports of what he's doing. But it's a fantastic project, and I believe when it's completed, it will stop the continuing demise of the glaciers on the top of Kilimanjaro. And I can't think of a better positive message to give through Rotary.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. And I'm not yet? Okay, Karen, thank you.
Hi, I'm back. So,
whoops, let me move this again.
This is about 2 quick minutes about the moringa tree, because it's a tree that a person introduced me to. Who knows what pica is?
Typeface.
It's a typeface, but it's also a malady of malnourished pregnant women who are so desperate for mineral support that they will actually eat dirt. And when they eat dirt, they take in parasites and it grinds down their teeth and it's terrible. There's another great source of nutrition for pregnant women. It's the leaves of the moringa tree. Moringa oleifera, it was indigenous to India and the Himalayas, but thanks to the British Empire, it's in a lot of places now and has been accepted and fitted into the environment. The leaves are nutritious. The women eat them when they're pregnant and it takes care of their problems with malnutrition. They've also discovered that it's a highly sought after supplement in the health food world in first world countries. So it is a product that can be gathered, processed, and exported. If you cut, the trees grow very fast, which is good for carbon sequestration. They need very little water, so they're great if you're fighting desertification and you're looking at a dry place. What kind of tree do you plant there? They have a long tap root, so they don't compete with your gardens for the water. They grow long seed pods. In some parts of the world, they're called the drumstick tree. That's what they're called in India. The flowers on this tree, I was told just the other day on the way here, Indian women make them into fritters and pancakes to give the woman postpartum to celebrate the birth and help her recover. If you take the green seed pods, long, thin green, they cook up like green beans in the family pot. If you let them mature, the seeds have a high quality oil when pressed, about 30% by weight oil production, which is the same percentage you get from olives. The oil that you get is cooking quality, but can also be used as biodiesel. When you're done squeezing the oil out of the seeds, you have a cake that's left. And they're actually, Rotarians from Leicester University did this research in the late 1990s. It's a primary treatment for water. So you take a scummy pond laden with algae and bacteria and other unpleasant floating things, not plastic. And it's a flocculant that makes all of that gunk settle to the bottom, and then it's much easier to run that water through secondary and tertiary filters for water cleansing. We should help people plant moringa trees
In the right place.
in the right place at the right time. One more thing, when you're pruning them and keeping them short for easy harvesting, the trimmings are great cattle feed, and there's actually been some research done in Kenya that the nutritional value and quantity of the cattle's milk rises.
Wow.
So there are lots of places around the world, Haiti and Kenya, where there are projects waiting not only to plant the tree, but remember I said hang all you can on that tree you plant? Villages with a moringa processing project provide jobs for the women, jobs for the men as security guard to guard the equipment in the plant. The proceeds have allowed them to bring in better water supply, build schools, pay for school kids' uniforms, keep girls in school longer, but somebody's going to take my mic.
Thank you. Karen, that was awesome. Awesome. Yes.
Are they suitable for Southeast Asia?
Absolutely.
What was the question?
She asked if they're suitable for Southeast Asia, and the answer is yes.
So probably find they're
Yes.
already there. There's
Yes.
lots of people who are, but the Indians didn't know that you could process the seeds for oil. They only thought you could gather the leaves.
And Felix, would you like to just say a word or two about the Trees That Feed Foundation?
Sure.
Do you want to come up so that you can speak in the mic? And we're going to keep it short.
Very short.
And he has a great one-page handout that he's brought copies of, and I also uploaded it to the website, so you can download it from the website by clicking on where it says, click here to download PDF for the Trees That Feed Foundation.
Great, hello, and good morning, and thank you for having me just for a few
And
minutes.
St. Catherine's.
Yes.
Rotary Club South.
Yes. So I'm with Trees That Feed, and our group, it's a nonprofit, is very similar to everything I've heard here today. Our mission is, as we now know, to grow the fruit trees. But so what we do is we distribute fruit trees mostly in the Caribbean. Haiti and Jamaica are the primary points, but it's not, our mission is fourfold. We provide the tree, but then in addition to that, we provide the education and training to the farmers on how to grow the trees. And then the third part of it is to, because these trees, mostly breadfruit, which I can explain, have large amounts of fruit on every tree, we teach them how to market, how to sell, and how to get money from the trees. So they can use the fruit to eat, and they can also sell it at the markets. And then, of course, the last thing is we annually follow up with every single group that we give trees to in order to make sure that they are maximizing the results from the trees, the reaping, the harvesting. So we have worked with Kathy Henry from St. Catherine's
Rotary Club South.
Rotary Club South. They actually have a very large program where they planted 5,000 trees throughout schools across Jamaica. There's breadfruit trees being planted in Pakistan, and throughout Haiti and Jamaica, we've worked with different Rotary clubs in the United States to plant these breadfruit trees. So I do have a handout, and we have many ongoing projects, many of them small, 1 to 5 trees, just to provide food for the families, mostly in Haiti and Jamaica.
But the trees grow really big, don't they?
They're 20 to 30-foot trees, and 1 tree can provide food for a family for a lifetime.
And they've actually started a mill, an industry to, there's so much excess breadfruit, and they're able to market it into a flour that is being marketed everywhere. It has a good carbohydrate content. It also has vitamins, minerals, and protein. It doesn't have as much protein as moringa, but it has more than rice, and it grows better. And the children use it in schools. Yes, Tom.
How do you mostly get your funding? Through corporations or through private individuals? I mean,
So
money is
the question is, where do you get your money?
Mostly all through private. Private
individual contributions, not
individual
corporate.
contributions.
Yeah. So we're putting all of these resources, many, and we are collecting more, because as I said, when President-elect Ian has made this a challenge, people are coming to us and telling us about their projects, and we are gathering these and making these accessible, and we'll make them more and more accessible, both for Rotary clubs and districts to join projects like what's happening in Uganda, the Trees That Feed Foundation, the Moringo things, but also to shine a light on what people are doing for best practice. A woman, an assistant district governor from Romania, has a trees project that is now on our website where it's just fabulous. In Romania, they're planting 1 million trees a year. So these things are happening all over, and we're part of it now. And thank you.
Basically just thank you, and if we can help in any way, we would love to do it. I have information in the back. I can leave my card.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, and thank you for coming here, Felix.
No problem.
He may become a Rotarian. Do you want to do Merrill? Yeah, and you had the engagement, strategies for engagement, and the skit. And what we might want to do is you might want to set things up, because the papers are coming around, but we need a little space. So you take it from here. Oh, Jeremy wants to say one word. So let Jeremy speak a word. And Jeremy is our director from Australia, and he is leaving the board at the end of this. No? Yes? Here he is.
But I'm not leaving anyway.
Yeah.
So look, I think I'm going to go back to my club and I'm going to energise them to do more, and we've got a program that's just starting and it's pilot stage. It's going to grow, and we're going to plant trees up the Blue Mountains and all this stuff. I want to change the subject very slightly, and I apologise for this because Paul's going to drag me out and I've got to go. But there's a situation in Australia, and look, we love telling each other about what's happening locally. This is really a global impact situation, and if you can help, it would be great. And unfortunately, it's going to go against what we first heard from our colleague from the Rotary Foundation, where, I'm sorry, I forget your name, Madam. Lauren said that we can't make this political. Unfortunately, this is a political situation. So let me briefly tell you about it, and then in Australian terms, I'll piss off. Bronwyn and I know about this, but we're about to open in Australia the biggest new coal mine in the world. And it's being financed by Adani. It's an Indian company. And it's a huge coal mine, and would you believe it's about 250 miles from the barrier reef. So you can imagine the tailings, and by the way, the big container terminals are on the barrier reef where they're going to take the coal away and up to India. And we have a very frustrating government. While a whole stack of banks around the world have finally said no to Adani in their requests for finance, our government has said, we'll extend $1 billion loan to you because we'd like you to mine Adani. Now, it's still. By the way, all the board agreement for going ahead at Adani has been agreed to. All the government agreements have been agreed to. The tax concessions, God knows what. But it's going to be political, whether we like it or not. It's going to be political.
Understanding how to become sustainable as a human species and our effect on other species. And so when you interact with Rotary clubs, and the fellow over here gave a good example, so this is a nice segue to the next part. How do you engage with your Rotary club and other Rotary clubs to make things happen on an environmental level? Okay? Now, our EsrAG group in Colorado, District 5450, we had a planning team and we planned a workshop similar to this one. And so I went around to different Rotary clubs in our district, and they were typical of Rotary clubs, I think. And Melissa's point about what's called the diffusion of innovation theory, when you talk to people, sometimes you're talking to the choir. To a large extent, that's true of us, but we don't know. And the next group that comes along is a group that's positive but doesn't have a high priority on the environment. And the next group that comes along is a group that's somewhat negative but doesn't have a high priority on the environment. And the final group are what you might call climate deniers. They don't want to hear what's going on. One individual I spoke with said, if we do anything about the environment, we're turning it over to government, and that's worse. So it's better not to do anything. So that's another group that we deal with, okay? And this theory says, deal with the middle two groups. Those that are positive but not high priority, and those that are skeptical and not high priority, okay? And don't spend a lot of time with the fourth group. The other thing to remember is what we recorded earlier. How are you going to approach people? If you approach people, I know the answer, you don't, listen to me, you won't get very far. And the nice thing about Rotary, one of the nice things about Rotary, is that's not who we are. So in a sense, all you have to do when you approach people is be a Rotarian, okay? And critical to all this is the four-way test, okay? Keeping that in mind. And the other part is active listening, okay? Not telling, but listening. So we're going to do a little small group work so you can all be involved in solving this challenge. And believe me, it is a challenge, okay? Rotarians are the best group to approach. They're well connected, they follow the four-way test, but other than that, they're dispersed on the political spectrum and how much they'll listen, okay? So I want you to, within strategies of engagement, of how you approach a Rotarian, okay? In your club or another club, or even outside the club, okay? So what I'd like you to do is a little skit. One person is going to be doing the idea that they're coming, that we need to have engagement about the environment, okay? The other person's going to be somewhere on that diffusion of innovation spectrum, probably in the second two groups. No preaching to the choir. Possibly in the fourth group, the deniers, okay? You choose. So one person will take one side, the other person will be on the other side, and practice how you would approach that person. And break up into groups of two. If it's an odd group, three, but try two, and do a little scenario of how that might work. Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions about it? Take a few minutes to that. Break into your small groups. Run the scenario. We'll reconvene, and we'll get volunteers to do the scenario for everyone.
Joy, I've just been to Rotary International, and I know you couldn't be there, but you know, we're talking about planting a lot of trees, and wouldn't that be just so cool if our Rotary Club would plant a lot of trees in White Bear Lake?
Well, it's a good idea, but I don't see how Rotary is coming in this. It's not one of the areas of focus for Rotary.
Yeah, you got a point there, but, well, we just have to say this is our own project and we can do what we want to with our money.
I think we are more pressing and urgent things to do in Rotary. How about the government doing this?
Right.
Well, I'm for that. What government entity would you want to do this?
The local government?
All right, that would be cool, because our local government's bragging that they're so environmentally advanced and independent and all that kind of thing. So we should just challenge them.
Yeah, I think we can ride on their initiatives. They already have some initiatives. And they have 3 nurseries, so they have seedlings. So how about us perhaps just riding on their projects already?
Well, yeah, and moreover, we have master gardeners, and they can teach us about native plants. We can do school kids. That's another government. That's a public school. So, so wow, you just expanded the idea. Well, what role would Rotary have?
Good question.
Yes.
We have a little announcement based on that skit.
Yeah, so that played right into an announcement that I wanted to make. So if you're in America, the United States that is, on the 30th of September, you might have heard me already talk about this, on the 30th of September, it's National, let me get it right, Public Lands Day. And so every jurisdiction across the United States is actually looking for people to plant trees. And they will provide the trees, and then you can just go along in your Rotary shirt and plant the trees with them, and then they will actually look after the plants, and not only plant the tree, they'll actually grow them on. Okay, so this is a win-win for Rotary. My local district, Prince George's County, actually approached me as a Rotarian to say, do you have Rotarians that would like to plant trees on the 30th of September? And I said, I think I can do that.
Great, thank you. So on to the next skit.
That'll be on the webpage, right?
Yeah, get it on the webpage.
Okay, next skit, over here. By the way, what was really effective in that skit was when you asked the question about and then you brought her along with that question. Great strategy.
And how you agreed with her. You didn't argue with her, you said yes, and then you went from where she was. Excellent.
Go ahead.
Rotarian Kazi,
Yes.
the environment is our concern. We must take action as Rotarians. And what I need from you is participation, involvement, and spreading the word to everyone to come and join us.
This seems like a big talk. What do you mean by those things? I don't understand. I'm here for fellowship. I'm here for fellowship. Why are you asking all the big things? Tell me, what do you want me to do?
As Rotarians, the environment is everyone's concern. We must leave a legacy. Let's look after the children in the communities. If we plant fruit-growing trees, we'll improve on their nutrition, but at the same time, even the villages will benefit because they'll be selling these fruits to the factories and industries, and it will empower them economically. We will have a healthy community.
We are fine. Every industry is going very well. Factory is running fantastic. You know, see in this room. We don't need tree for table, chair, and everything. We are fantastic. Why are you go? And it's automatically God giving all the trees and everything. Why are you asking me for go for tree and forest? Oh, big.
But you don't eat vegetables. You need food. You need to guarantee food for the next generation.
I can find food store. No problem.
One more chance.
But you always enjoy the juice. I always see you taking juice. Where does it come from? We need to grow the fruit-growing trees.
I see sufficient trees are available to have juice and everything. So I'm not really that much convinced by nothing.
Better call.
There are.
That talk was an excellent example of the deniers. And remember, you are not going to convince them. So it's better to back off. Recognize your point and back off. We're really trying to reach to the skeptical group that you can make some progress with.
Just 30 seconds.
We get one more.
30 seconds. 30
one more.
No, you're done. One more group.
Okay, over there.
You're a boy, Joseph. You're done. It was an interesting.
You guys were a great example of one type of person you're going to run into, so I really appreciate it.
Okay, we're taking a little bit more of a global view, and since I'm on the right, I'm the denier. She's on the left, so she's correct. Most of the people are facing us. So I'm going to say, God, it was colder at my house this year. I don't understand global warming.
You don't? Wow.
Tell me about Africa.
Africa. Well, you know, it's a different perspective. You're praying of being cold in your house in America. It's very hot in Africa. But what's happening is that we are cutting the trees we have. That would even help, you know, have the temperature regulated at your house in America. Why are we cutting the trees? It's because we need to feed today.
So you need to feed today. Well, I got lots of trees in my backyard, and you know the water comes right out of a tap, and there's gas coming in the house. So I don't understand your point here about feeding your children.
Well, there's not much development as you have in America and Africa. So I have to go to the forest, you know, to live on from the forest. So if the trees are cut, I actually don't have food to eat.
Talk about it. And is that going to happen this generation or next generation? You know, in America, I'm worried about whether or not somebody's going to drink water out of a tap or water out of a water bottle. That's sort of a first world problem. What are your problems in terms of having feeding your children today and tomorrow?
Really, it's about today that matters. Yeah. If we are talking, you know, as Rotarians about planting trees, what are we planting the trees for? I need to feed my children today. Can I convert the land, you know, the forested land, to grow potatoes, to grow bananas? Because that's what I need today.
So if I understand it right, you need food today and you're not concerned about what happens 10 and 15 years from now, because if you don't have food today, then your children might not get fed, and therefore we don't need to worry about 15 years from now.
Oh, the other perspective is that we need to have many children, because the survival rate is very low. So the more children I have, you know, more labor, and then there is a possibility some will survive to carry on the heritage.
So you both agree, no trees?
We have first world problems in America, and in other parts of the world they have different problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Time one more. Okay, no more time. I just want to say the key to this, if you get a denier, you have to back off. But if someone's skeptical, the key is to get a specific, what we call shovel-ready project, and not deal 30,000 feet with discussions about environmental sustainability and the future and so on. What is your Rotary Club doing now that might have something to do with the environment? And it asks that question. And if they have something, oh, we're doing a water project in Guatemala. Is that environmental? Yeah, that's a great idea. You know, let's go with that. And if they say we're doing a cleanup on a highway, oh, well, that's doing the environment. Or we're taking kids from the inner city to visit the ocean or the mountains. That has to do with the environment. You're creating future environmentalists. So you're getting the discussion away from the abstract debate towards a specific project. And that's the first step to the commitment. You're planting a seed.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yes. No, thank you so much. I'm so pleased. They led a sustainability pre-conference to their district conference in Colorado, District 5450 this year. And they're our local ESRAG, our first local ESRAG branch or chapter or something.
Chapter is what we
What's
call
the word?
Second.
What is it?
Don't.
But it doesn't matter. What I would like to do is I'd like to give Karen, our chair this year, an opportunity to say whatever it is she's going to say. And we would love to have some closing observations, but I think we're going to let Karen make the closing observations, and then
You're going to trust me to wrap this up?
and then we're going to sing a song together.
Sing a song?
Okay?
Are we going to ride it as well?
Oh, okay. She's more tuneful than I am. A resource that's really useful if someone says, well, I'd like to do an environmental project and I don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's an excellent.
This book, Drawdown, edited by Paul Hawkins, he says it's not just carbon-free energy. It's all of the things that will get us sucking the excess carbon back into the ground. That tipping point to save us is when we draw down more carbon than we emit. A friend looked at this. Everyone who remembers the Whole Earth catalog? They said, oh my God, this is a Whole Earth catalog for climate change. Drawdown by Paul Hawkins.
Solutions.
Solutions.
Yes.
Practical.
And it's available on Kindle. So
Yes.
you can just put it on your Kindle and
You can
search
put it
for
on your Kindle, but it's also kind of a fun leaf through book. There's also a lot of the same information on the website that you can cruise on the way home. Ian Riesling said he wanted younger members, he wanted more diverse members. There is a concept in Rotary called the Rotary family. It's a new change. If you've ever been an exchange student on a youth exchange, a global grant, a friendship tour, a vocational training, been a Peace Fellow, received a Rotary Fellowship anyplace, you are a member of the Rotary family. You may know people who fit that who aren't yet Rotarians. Come back, help them become members of EsrAG. We welcome them. The best way we can have Ian's back and Sam's back is for every Rotarian that might get pissed off,
Which they are.
which some are. I've seen the threats in letters directed to President Ian. We bring in 3 young, rabid-to-go Rotary environmentalists. That's our job.
Calm and consistent.
Mark, just give Mark 2 seconds to introduce a conference that he's, the next World Climate Change Conference. Just
Okay.
give him 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think this is very effective, and congratulations and thank you to the Hagen family. In about 18 months, no, 15 months in fact, in Poland there will be the COP24. The next climate change conference will be in Poland in mid-November. I think it's the 14th of November, but the final date is still being decided because they're not sure if it's going to be a 2 or 3 or 4 day conference. The Paris conference was very effective, as we all know. It was the biggest. This one will be, I think, more open to panel discussion of this nature, and we'll work on that. So I'd like to remind you that a climate change conference is the way to get the message across to all the countries, and at a high level, because there'll be a lot of ministers there. So I'd like to invite you all to Poland in mid-November next year.
The Rotary sponsored event?
No, it's not. No, I think we should have some representatives of EsrAG represent Rotary. And I'd like
It's a UN. It's UN.
It's a UN climate conference, COP24. There was COP22 in Marrakesh. There was a climate change conference in Paris. It's the same series of international conferences that do make a difference.
This year in Germany. This year in Germany.
And we will put this on the website, our brand new beautiful website.
Mark, I will say in a minute. Yesterday I spoke to Karen actually to talk briskly if we can represent Rotary on behalf of EsrAG, and we should join in the COP24 because as you are there.
I think it's very worthwhile.
We've
We've got to represent an institution because it'll be a high-level meeting, and if we don't go as an institution representative, we may not be very. Thank you.
So I have been to organizations that do a workshop, and at the end of the workshop, they have every person say one word about how the workshop was for them. One word. Felix, will you start from the back?
Partnership.
What?
Partnership.
Partnership. Lily?
Awareness.
Awareness. Bronwyn? Learning. Tom? One word that describes your experience today.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Lauren?
Did someone say motivational?
Not yet.
Motivational.
Okay. The rest of you at that table.
Inspiration.
Inspirational.
Peace.
Peace.
Life.
Life. Okay. Joy.
Practical.
Practical.
Connecting.
Connecting.
Pass for now.
Okay.
What did she say?
Not yet. She's not ready. Mafusa.
Future.
Future. Kim.
Creative.
Patricia.
Exciting.
Kazi. One word. About today.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Wonderful. Ken.
Promising.
International.
Sharing. International.
Informative.
Mark.
Integrating.
Integrating. Peter.
Positive.
Positive. Meryl.
Reaching out.
Keep it in the ground.
Keep it in the ground.
Friends.
Challenging.
Challenging. 5.
Expansion.
Expansion. Invigorating. Thank you all. All we are saying is give trees a chance. All we are saying is give trees a chance.
Okay. And we will keep in touch.
We should all have a day job.
That's why I'm retired.
Yes. Thank you, and thank you to everyone who joined in this presentation and contributed. And oh, we have to ring the bell. Can I do that?
And thanks again to the Hagen family and foundation for making it possible.